Hey guys, Ryan from Elevate Security here. In this one, I wanted to cover another really essential topic to know and understand as a hacker. This is going to help you not just for automation and debugging some potentially annoying issues and everyday Linux use, but it's also going to help you a lot on privilege escalation. Now, a lot of times you get initial access on a box. You maybe go to dev SHM or maybe the /temp directory. You upload your Linux priv checker. It comes back with a bunch of information, which I'll make another video on that, breaking that down. But particularly, I wanted to focus on file permissions, making things executable, who has ownership, who has what access to what file. This is stuff that's essential for privilege escalation and just understanding what the heck is going on in your Linux box as well for your Linux environment. So the way we'll tackle that is let's look at some of the common files on my system here, some of the files that I have. One thing I will say, if you create a file, whatever account you create that file as, by default, is the owner of the file, and the group that it's in is the group owner of that file. So I'm on my Kali account right now. If I were to create a file, let's just do that, right? We'll use touch to do it. Create this file .text. Now, if I look at that file, I can see a number of things, right? Here, use a bit easier like this. Can see a number of things. I can see the owner of the file, like I predicted. The Kali account is the owner. If I say, let's see, ID here, I can see this is my user ID. This is the group ID. So I'm in a group called Kali as well. So that's what this second one corresponds to, the group owner. Of course, it defaults to my group. Now, on this side here is where you can see the permissions of the file for the owner, the group, and everyone else. So these work in increments of 3. This first one here, basically all this exists for is to tell you if it's a file or a directory. If it were to be a directory, there would be a D here. But it's not, so you know it's a file. Now it goes in increments of 3, right? These 3 here. R is for read, W is for write, and X is for execute. So by default, creating it with the touch command, you can see that there's no X's, so this is not executable for anyone. We could change that if we wanted to. Now, it's just a simple text file, so we probably won't even need to. But that's what these 3 things correspond to. This first chunk of 3 corresponds to the file owner. Now, as we see here, I am the file owner. The Kali account is the file owner. So if I'm running this file or interacting with this file in my Kali account, then I'll be able to read the file and I'll be able to write changes to the file, right? Like I can add stuff to it, delete stuff from it, or even delete the file altogether if I wanted to. Why? Because I have the permissions to do so. I can do anything except execute it. Now these next 3 correspond to the group. So if you're a part of the Kali group, maybe you're not on the Kali user, you're on a different user, but your user is a part of this Kali group, then you will have permissions to read the file, but you won't have any permissions to write to the file, write any changes to the file, nor execute the file. All right? Simple enough, right? Now, these last 3 correspond to literally everyone else. These are the world permissions, essentially. In Linux speak, these are the world permissions. So, everyone else is allowed to read it. So, anyone can read this file, but they won't be able to, once again, they won't be able to write to the file, and they won't be able to execute the file. So now, if I wanted to make this executable for some reason, let's just say, you do a chmod plus X, and what this is going to do is it's going to make it executable for everyone using this plus X shorthand. So now, if I take a look at that, at the permissions of the file, I'll see an X on every single one. That means, as the file owner, I can execute it. As someone in the group, I can execute it, or as anyone, I can execute it. So it's world executable effectively. All right. So that's how you can do that. And how, like, if I wanted to just change it, see, that's a shorthand, right? Say I only wanted to make it executable for the people in the group as well as the file owner. That's when the different numbers come into play. And there's some sites you can use. I can maybe show you one that I have in my notes here. There's some sites that can help you determine what number code you need to do. We'll see if I have that really quick. Permissionscalculator.org. Here, I'll copy it so you guys can see. This one right here. Go here, permissionscalculator.org. We can pull that up really quick and to showcase that. You can memorize it, of course, but I'm always of the mentality that if you can get away with not memorizing it, it's great, right? Here's what's great about this with these codes. Let's take that example that I just gave, right? Let's say we want to make it executable for the user and the group, but not world executable. And also, let's take into account what we had before. We want it to be readable and writable by the owner, and also readable but not executable by the group, and readable by everyone, right? So anyone can read it. If you're the user, you can do anything with it. If you're in the group, then you can just read or execute. So this is what we need right here, 754. So let's do that. So if I wanted to make these exact permissions on this file, I would just do chmod 754 on this file. So now, if I take a look at it, I'll see exactly the permissions that I wanted. So yeah, pretty nice, pretty handy, right? I would definitely recommend bookmarking this one. It's really good. You don't have to memorize all the number jargon stuff for the Linux permissions or anything. You just use this site, and it's as easy as that. So I think you guys understand. We'll take a look at one more here before we end off this video. Let's take a look at the famous Etsy password file. Oops, I don't want to cat it. I want to look at the permissions. So here we go. This one is owned by the root account and part of the root group, and anyone can read it. However, only the root account can write to it, and it's not an executable one. It's just like a text file, basically. So yeah, that's the default permissions on this. So when you're doing privesc, this is why I included this in the video. When you're doing privesc and you see that this is writable, world writable, anyone can write to it, that's a vulnerability. If you can write to this, you can write in your own user account. So yeah, sorry about that. My recording got cut off somehow, but yeah, you get the idea. So if you see, the idea is if you see a world writable Etsy password file, you can instantly get root on that pretty trivially just by adding your own user account with the hashed password of whatever password you want to create for it. Say that it's part of the root, like a root level account, and then you just log into that account and you have root level access. The last thing I wanted to wrap up the video with is, because this is something I've had to do quite a bit lately, is that if you have a directory, let's make a directory here using the root account. If we create a directory on the root account, even if it's in the home directory of the Kali account, by default it's going to be a root account. So if I come in here and let's say I create new directory, okay? What I'm gonna see when I look at this is that, let me find this really quick, right here. It's owned by root user in the root group. So that means that if I'm here and I try to add something to that directory, like I try to create a file.txt, I cannot do that because I don't have permissions. Now the thing is, obviously we'd need to give it permissions from my root account, so I have to go back in the root account, and this is where the chown command comes in, right? To change ownership. After you specify this, you got to say what account you want to give access ownership for. So my Kali account in this case, and then the folder or file that you want to give ownership to. So new directory, right? Let me navigate to that file or location first to make this simpler. So chown Kali new directory, right? Thing is, if I run it like this, it's still going to have a problem because it's going to give the Kali account ownership of this directory. However, all of the subdirectories, all the files and folders underneath this are still going to be owned by root. So you're still going to be having some problems potentially. The way you rectify this is you have to give the -R flag to tell it recursively. So not only will the Kali account become the owner of this, now also all the subdirectories, subfolders, files, all that, right? I know I said directories and folders, same thing, right? But everything basically, everything under it, this and everything under it. Now we can give it a -G flag to change the group as well, but I'm just going to demo it as is here. So if I were to run this, now when I take a look at the ownership here, you can see the Kali account is now the owner here. And if I go into the new directory, I can actually create that file that I tried to create earlier. Right? So yeah, this is something I want to wrap up the video with. I know this video has gotten kind of long, but I really wanted to touch on all of the stuff that came to mind under this kind of dense topic. So yeah, I hope this video was of help to you. Definitely let me know down in the comments section below what you guys thought. Give me the like, subscribe for more content of this nature. Definitely helps with the algorithms, lets me know you're interested, and I will see you guys in the next video.